Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Good afternoon. Inshallah today we will continue our class Islamic economics. Today's topic is market structure in Islamic economics. So market and economic system. What is a market? Market is simply a meeting place between sellers and buyers. And the meeting place could be a physical meeting place like the fish market or mini market, supermarket, McDonald's, KFC, or it can be virtual place, Lazada, Shopee, where you can buy, uh, consumers can buy goods and services online, and sellers can sell their products or goods and services online. So it could be physical market, or it could be a virtual or online market. So virtual here means online. Okay, so the market is made up of buyers and sellers, where the buyers demand or buy. They buy the goods and services, and suppliers supply or sell the goods and services. Market plays an important role in all economic systems. We have five economic systems: perfect competition or capitalism. Number two, planned economy or socialism. Number three, mixed economic system. So in this system, there is a combination of capitalism and socialism. And number four is Islamic economic system. So there are four economic systems. Market plays an important role in all economic systems. However, the role of the market differs according to the economic system. In capitalism or free market system, market plays a very important role as the foundation to exchange goods and services. So in capitalism, market plays a very important role because most of the goods and services are exchanged in the market, whether it is physical or virtual market. So consumers buy goods and services in the market, producers sell the goods and services in the market in capitalism. In planned economy or socialism, the functions of the market are quite limited because in the socialism, government plays important role. Government decides what to produce, how much to produce, and the price at which the goods are sold. So in countries such as Cuba, Russia, North Korea, the government decides what to produce, how much to produce, and at what price the goods are sold. So the market plays a limited role. In Islam, Okay, the market also plays important role. However, in Islam, um, there are Islamic rules. So Islamic economic system enforces rules of the game. We call rules of the game. We call Islamic rules of the game, where all activities, the buying and the selling, investment, uh, must be governed by Sharia, must be Sharia compliant. There are permissible or halal goods and services, permissible or halal activities, and there are impermissible or haram goods and services and haram activities. So the we must follow what is permitted in Islam, and the consumers and producers must not engage in activities which are prohibited. So consumers and producers uh, can do the exchange commodities, the exchange activities, as long as it is halal. So there are halal and haram. Halal are activities which are permissible. Haram are activities which are not permissible. So Islamic economic system enforces Islamic rules of the game where all activities in the market must be governed by Sharia. Sharia here means uh, uh, rules. Sharia rules here means rules uh, which are obtained from the Quran, the Sunnah, the Ijma, the Qiyas, and other sources. So, Islamic economic system enforces Islamic rules of the game where all activities in the market must be governed by Sharia to ensure fair and harmonious interactions or exchanges between the sellers and the buyers. In Islamic economics, the market works within the rule of the game. Means do the agents, the buyers and the sellers in the market um, must follow the rules of the game. Do what is halal or permitted and avoid what is haram. So in Islamic economics, the market works within the rule of the game and the Islamic man as the economic agent. Market in Islam, the market plays an important role in Islam. Can you see the slide or not? Nur Azlina,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
boleh nampak ah?
Boleh?
Okay. The market plays an important role in Islam as the place where the buyers and sellers meet to exchange for goods and services. Islam provides the code of conduct, what the buyers and the sellers can do and what they cannot do. So Islam provides the code of conduct, rules, peraturan, and regulations which govern the exchange activities, the buying and selling by the buyers and sellers. Islam permits the activities of selling and buying of goods and services. but the activities must conform Sharia rules and regulations. Islam encourages goods and services which are halal and tayyib. Halal and tayyiba. So the goods and services sold in the market must be halal and must be tayyib. But uh, Islam permits goods and services which are halal and tayyib, but Islam prohibits uh, haram goods and services, haram or impermissible goods and services, such as pork, um, wine, and other haram goods and services. And also Islam prohibits riba when dealing with banking sector. Islam prohibits elements of gharar, uncertainty, and elements of maisir, um, gharar, or uncertainty means excessive speculation. For example, in the investment activities, and maisir, Islam prohibits the elements of gambling. And also there are other prohibitions. Riba in English, interest. Okay. Market in Islam is different from markets in other economic systems in three different ways. Number one, in terms of economic agents. The economic agents in Islam, consumers as, and producers are called Islamic men. What does Islamic man means? Islamic man, uh, for example, consumers as an Islamic man, as an agent in the market, the consumers does not necessarily, the consumers do not necessarily optimize utility. So utility maximization is not the only objective of consumers from Islamic point of view. But the objective of consumers in Islam is to achieve falah. That is the success in this world and the success in the hereafter. The other agent, producers, okay, producers, the primary objective of producers is not necessarily to maximize profit. So profit maximization may not be a primary objective of producers in Islamic economics. Okay, so the objective of producers in Islamic economics is to achieve falah, just like the consumers. The producers in Islam has the objective to achieve falah, which is to obtain the success in this world and the hereafter. Because both consumers and producers are halifa, right? Consumers and producers are halifa. Halifa who are entrusted with uh, amanah by Allah to use the resources bestowed upon by Allah according to the will of Allah. So consumers and producers are Khalifa who are entrusted with amanah by Allah to use the resources. Allah creates all the resources, right? So the resources must be used according to the will of Allah. That is the first difference between the market in Islam and the market in other economic systems. The second difference is in terms of framework. So in Islam, the exchange of goods and services in the market must be Sharia compliant. Must be Sharia compliant. In Islam, there are things which are permissible or halal, and there are things which are haram or impermissible. So the consumers and producers must do must must uh, must do what is halal. Okay, the exchange of goods and services and the buying and selling of goods and services must follow the principle of halal. Only halal goods and services can be sold in the market. Haram goods and services are prohibited, right? So that is the principle. Do what is halal, avoid what is haram. Okay, the third difference between the market in Islam and the market in other economic systems is the role of the state. In Islam, the state must play, in Islam, the state here refers to the government. The state or the government plays an important role in regulating the activities in the market. Okay, so in Islam, the state or the government plays an important role in regulating the activities in the market. The state or the government influences the market in several ways. Number one, the state or the government establishes Islamic rule of the game. The state will make sure that only uh, halal goods and services are exchanged in the market. Haram goods and services cannot be sold in the market. So the state establishes and enforces So the state establishes and also enforces the Islamic the state establishes and enforces the Islamic rule of the game. So only goods and services which are halal can be sold in the market. Uh, whatever goods which are haram cannot be sold in the market, and the state or the government will make sure that the Islamic rule of the game is established and is enforced. The state or the government provides a conducive environment for the Islamic men. So, in terms of the facilities, the the state or the government must provide a conducive a place, a conducive environment, so that the market can can do the activities of exchange goods and services. So the activities uh, of buying and selling must between the sellers and the buyers, between the sellers and the buyers, right, must be done in a fair manner and must be done in a harmonious manner. And the state must ensure that justice and benevolence prevail. The concept of al-adlu wal-ihsan. Adlun wa ihsan. Al-adlu wal-ihsan. What's the meaning of justice? Al-adlu. Justice in Islam means placing something in its rightful place. Letakkan sesuatu di tempat yang betul. Justice means placing something in its rightful place. So there are three important aspects of justice. First, by placing someone in a post or function appropriate to his capabilities. Second, to make a decision appropriate to a situation or the person about to receive it. And third, to place wealth or property to those who rightly deserve them. Justice, justice required by Islam is an entire justice without having regard to the differences. Uh, is an absolute. So justice required by Islam is an absolute justice without having regard to the differences in color, uh, the color of the people, the sect, uh, or, or race of the people, and creed. So its foundation, the foundation of justice, lies in the command of Allah. So in the Quran, Allah mentions the concept of al-adlu wal-ihsan. So benevolent, al-ihsan or benevolent is the concept, it's another concept that is related to and follows the concept of justice. So al-ihsan or benevolent behavior is considered a natural response of a Muslim to the spiritual realization al-ihsan or benevolent behavior is considered a natural response of a Muslim to the spiritual realization of the tremendous blessings that the Muslim uh, that he or she receives from Allah without being entitled to them. In other words, a Muslim is prepared to give to others. So a Muslim is prepared to give to other people over and above what he owes to them on the principle of justice, to express his gratitude to Allah, the Creator, right? So a Muslim is willing to give to others, although it is not necessary. For example, giving sadaqah to help other people um, who are unfortunate, who has a misfortune, for example, um, to express his gratitude to Allah. So that is the meaning of al-ihsan. Because the concept of al-ihsan is the Muslim belief that Allah uh, Allah watches all his activities. Allah sees everything. Allah hears everything. Although Muslims cannot see Allah, but Allah sees them. So therefore, a Muslim is prepared to give to others over and above what he owes to them on the principle of justice to express his gratitude, shukr to Allah. La in shakartum la azidannakum. Allah says in the Quran. Wa la in kafartum inna azabi la shadid. So, to express the gratitude to Allah, a Muslim is prepared to give to others also. Besides that, the market must also play its role in having a harmonious relationship with the state or the government. The roles of a market is number one, the market works within the rule of the game. Means the market must observe what is permissible and what is not permissible, what is halal and what is haram. So only goods and services which are halal and tayyiba can be sold and exchanged in the market. Goods and services which are haram and prohibited cannot be exchanged in the market. And like we said before, the Islamic man as the economic agent means consumers maximize falah, not necessarily just to maximize utility, and producers maximize falah also, not necessarily to maximize the profit. All right, any questions so far? So let's talk about economic system. What is economic system? Economic system is a way of organizing the relationship among consumers, firms, and government to make choices on the basic economic questions. There are basically four types of economic system, which include capitalist economic system or free market economic system, planned economic system, mixed economic system, and Islamic economic system. In the capitalist or free market economic system, so free market or capitalist economic system is an economic system in which individuals take all the main economic decisions. So individuals make the decisions. Consumers make the decisions on what to buy. Producers make decisions on what goods and services to sell in the market without government intervention. Also known as capitalism, buyers and sellers meet in the market and make the transaction, the selling and buying without the involvement of government. That is the capitalist economic system. It is a freedom economic system where an individual can be a buyer, seller, employee, or employer at their own wishes and without any control from the government. The free market economic system is characterized by private ownership of resources, whereby of every individual in the country that practices the free market system has the right to acquire resources. There is freedom to own private property. So individuals can own land, they can own houses, cars, but it must follow the government laws and regulation. Also, there is a freedom of enterprise and choice where individuals or buyers um, uh, sorry, where sellers or firms, they are free to trade, invest, and organize to produce goods and services within the framework, within the country's legal framework. It must be legal. Individuals are free to own resources as well as to establish business, any business enterprises of their choice. Besides that, the producers also produce goods and services which meet the consumers' demand. So ada orang nak beli, then ada barang, then pengeluar akan menjual. So producers produce goods and services which meets the consumers' demand in order to sell the goods and services. Because consumers' demand will affect the production of goods and services. So consumers are the king. Consumers decide what to produce, how much to produce in the market. In addition, there is a high competition among producers to obtain um, highest or maximum profit. When there is competition among producers, the products or the goods and services will be of high quality and it will result in efficiency. Furthermore, the market uses the price system, which means the free operation of the demand and supply forces without any interaction. This is called an invisible hand by Adam Smith. However, there are shortcomings of the free market economic system. One of the shortcomings is the existence of inequality of distribution of wealth and income, where there are rich people who get richer and the poor people get poorer. Also, there is a problems of there are the problems of inflation and high unemployment rate, where business fluctuation will cause high unemployment rate during the depressions. Okay, like currently we have a COVID-19, many business are shutting down, which cause a high unemployment rate. Besides that, in the in the free market or capitalist economic system, there is a lack of social welfare in this capitalist system, causing undesirable social effects such as theft and high and crime rates, such as theft and crime. Right. So there are cases when people do not get enough goods and services, they have to resort to some illegal activities such as theft and other crimes. Furthermore, there exists misallocation of resources, which leads to production of luxury goods. So there are many luxury goods because there are rich people who will buy the goods and services, resulting in surplus and lack of production for the poor people because the goods and services are supplied according to the demand. So if there are so for poor people there is a lack of goods and services. Besides, there is also social cost because producers' intention is to increase profit, and oftentimes the welfare of the workers is often neglected. So that is the capitalist economic system. So let's move on quickly to planned economic system or socialist. Planned economic system is an economic system where all the decisions are made by the government or the central authority. All the resources are officially owned by the government, therefore there will be no private ownership of private properties. Therefore, there is no private ownership of properties in the socialist economic system. So the planned economic system is characterized by public ownership of resources, means all resources are owned by the government, where all resources are owned and operated by the state or the government with the interest of society as a whole. Also, there is a central planning authority that plans and allocates the resources between current consumption and investment for the future. In this socialist system, there is less emphasis on price mechanism, which means that it gives less importance to the market. So market is not very important in the socialist system. In the planned economic system or socialism, the functions of the market are limited because the government controls and determines what goods should be produced, how much should be produced, and the price at which goods are produced. In addition, there is a central control and ownership where government controls how much to produce, what to consume, and how the goods and services are distributed to the people. And usually the distribution is according to the needs of the people. There are certain disadvantages in the planned economic system, such as lack of incentives and initiatives by individuals, which leads to economic inefficiency. Since jobs are provided by the government and individuals are not motivated to work harder, especially those brilliant people, the smart people, they tend to migrate to other countries. Scientists, engineers, the creators, um, they tend to move to another country to find um, jobs which reward them with higher salaries. Also, consumers suffer from loss of economic freedom because consumers have to accept whatever the government produces, whatever the public enterprises or the government produce, because consumers have no choice. Also, there is a absence of competition. All the goods and services are produced by public enterprises. Because there is no competition, planned economic system resulted in low quality of products. Furthermore, there is a waste of economic resources which leads to overproduction of certain goods. Certain goods in surplus and underproduction of other goods. Certain goods are lacking. There is a shortage of certain goods. Okay, let's move on to let's move to Islamic economic system. The Islamic economic system aims to guarantee individual liberty, freedom of choice, private property and enterprise, the profit motive and possibilities of unlimited effort and reward. On the other hand, it seeks to provide effective moral filters at different levels of life and activity and establish institutions in the voluntary sector. So in Islamic economics, the government plays an important role to make sure that the activities in the market are done according to Islam, and also there is a voluntary institution such as waqaf, sadaqah, and other charities in order to help those people who are in need. There are people in the society who cannot afford to buy the goods and services. Under the Islamic economic system, Allah's guidance makes sure the flow of money and goods was purified by being channeled from those who had surplus of the wealth to those who had little by encouraging zakat, uh, sadaqah, and other charities, and discouraging riba or interest on loans. Islam actually does not prescribe to any particular economic system, but provides the core elements and principles which form the basic philosophy of a system or an economy. Islam provides primarily normative principles for economics and finance. What so Islam uh, tells the economic agents of what to do and what not to do. However, it is not devoid of positive economic statements of hypothesis. Okay. Let's move on to market structure and mechanism. There are four market structures: perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. So let's start with perfect competition. Perfect competition describes a market structure whose assumptions are extremely strong and Highly perfect competition describes a market structure whose assumptions are extremely strong and highly unlikely to exist in most real-time and real-world markets. So this is um, most of the markets in the world are not perfect competition, but the model of perfect competition uh, is kind of a theoretical model. So the reality is that most markets are imperfectly competitive. However, there is some value in understanding how price, how output, and equilibrium is established in the market. Uh, that holds true to the tough. So economists have become more interested in pure competition or in perfect competition, partly because of the rapid growth of e-commerce and international markets as a means of buying and selling the goods and services. So right now, because of the e-commerce, um, economists have become interested in understanding the behavior of consumers and sellers in perfect competition. All right. So let's discuss some of the characteristics of perfect competition. The first characteristic, there is a large number of buyers and sellers. There is a large number of independently selling, uh, uh, independently uh, acting sellers. So there are many sellers. Um, each seller offers the product in large national or international market. For example, farm commodities, the stock market, the foreign exchange market. Characteristic number two, standardized or homogeneous product. The product is standardized because it is identical to each other, or we call homogeneous. Characteristic number three, price takers. Each of the firms, they must take the price as determined in the market. So each firm has no control uh, over the price because the market is filled with large number of firms all selling the same product. Any single firm represents only a very um, minuscule or very minor, very small portion of the whole market, causing no single firm can charge the market price or control the market price. So each firm in a perfect competition is a price taker because it cannot change market price. It can only adjust to it. There is no profit to be made because the price each market operates at is only enough to cover a normal profit. Therefore, going below the price would result in an economic loss. This is what we studied in the microeconomics. Number four, characteristics of free market. Number four, free entry and exit means there are no legal, technological, financial, or other obstacles that prevent firms from entering or leaving the market in a Okay, so it's easy for firms to enter or exit the perfectly competitive market. Okay, so next class we will discuss the Islamic view on perfect competition. What is the perspective of Islam on perfect competition? And inshallah we will discuss the characteristics of monopoly and Islamic view on the monopoly in the next class. Okay, wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.